all the different disclosures. Like, just run the clip, okay? Run the clip. Jesus Christ. Okay, anyway, hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's episode, we had to kind of go live because my storage was acting up, and unfortunately, I just do not even have the time to sit and delete several more apps on my iPhone, which is so crazy because I really don't even have that many photos. I don't even know why we're at this point in time with the iPhone. Like, I just feel like for the price, like it should always come with unlimited storage. But anyway, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, our iPhones are like $1,000. Like, isn't that wild? Like, we're just so casually normalizing $1,000 devices in our hands at our fingertips. It's pretty crazy. I remember iPhone used to kind of be considered something like a luxury. I do remember there was a point in time where it was like Android users and people who were more cost conscious, I guess you could say, and they were like, absolutely not. I'm not buying an iPhone. That's like $1,000 phone. You know, who's signing their contract for $1,200? You know, but it just became something that we normalized, and now here we are with these $1,000 devices that have no storage. So, anyways, in today's episode, I want to talk about entitlement. Okay. And first, I want to say thanks, you guys, for engaging on the community page. I love when you guys engage. It just means a lot to your girl. Okay. It's nice to share my thoughts and engage in philosophy. And yeah, so shout out to you guys. And also shout out to the new subs. Welcome, welcome. So I was questioning whether or not we are entitled. I feel like we're at this place in society where obviously there's a certain standard of living. Even as I was in the mall and I was just shopping, and I'm like, it's really crazy how there's like a certain type of look and, you know, fashion. And I'm talking not like fast fashion, I'm talking about like literal expression. You know what I mean? I actually posed the question. It wasn't, I don't think it was a poll, but it was like further down when I first started this YouTube channel. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about this as well, just how fashion has made people more into that type of aesthetic as well, and it's revolutionized how we see creativity and how we see individuality, I think, as well. So I think fashion has shifted as well, and I think it's taken us away from authentic expression. But I also think that this is the same with consumerism and like modern day propaganda. Like, advertising agencies got us so, like, we feel like we want luxury, we deserve luxury, like, and we're really not gonna settle and rest until we get luxury, right? I remember I was sitting with myself and I was thinking about, because I too found myself feeling a little entitled. And I was thinking about my choices, right? I was thinking about my choices. I was thinking about my career path, right? I always knew I wanted to be a writer. I decided, hey, I decided that I was gonna, Bruce has something to say. But I decided that I was going to be a writer. I was like, okay, I'm going to pursue my dreams as a writer. I remember when I was in my sixth grade AP. No, it wasn't sixth grade. Let's not get crazy. It was in my senior AP English class. I was looking at the salaries of writers, and I'm pretty much making what a writer was going to make. And that was like such a revelatory moment for me, because I was like, I chose the path and I get the salary of the choices that you know what I mean? Like, I'm not making X amount of dollars because that's not the path that I took. That's not the work that I put in. And when I had that revelation, I sat with myself, I found a little bit more solace. You know, I was no longer in this space of like, whoa, it's me. But back to what I was saying about propaganda and even the way we socialize today, like, you can't really go anywhere without seeing designer or feeling like you have to have designer. Obviously, social media influencing and all of these different things, you guys, like, it's kind of put us in a space where it's like having designer is social capital, right? We're all dying for community, but it's like, if you can get a bag, if you can get something that somebody wants, if you can obtain some level of luxury, you also now have the privilege of being, you know what I mean? Like, someone who gets access to these type of communities. So it's like, I feel like it's almost like a catch-22. Like, you know, like, you're broke, but then it's like but now you get community. You know what I mean? So when I think about entitlement, I kind of feel like we're at this place now where it's like everybody just kind of wants things that they didn't work for, you know? And I know that sounds, you know, and I'm not talking about people who are impoverished, people who don't have their basic needs, y'all. I'm talking about people who like genuinely don't have, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about people who don't have, I'm talking about people who just, like, you just kind of want more, you know? And I'm sorry, I'm looking at the comments a little bit too. That's kind of why I'm also like back and forth. But let me just stay focused. So anyway, I do think that we are becoming more and more entitled because of the things that we see. You know, you have a lot of people who do come online and they do have their basic needs met, but they're complaining about their lifestyle. And it's really just because of the choices that they made or failed to make in their life. And it's like, I know that sounds so harsh, but y'all, I'm just being honest. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's one of the things too. We don't really take into consideration the fact that, like, yeah, there are people who are living in LA where there's higher pay scales, right? More opportunities. There are also people that we're interacting with who had a completely different upbringing, right? There was someone who commented on a video where I was talking about violence and how it is encouraged within the Black community. And they were like, where did y'all grow up? Because I didn't grow up like that. It was giving, you know what I mean? It was giving Bill, it was giving Huxtables, where the commentator was saying that they grew up. And so it's like we get online and we think that it's like this equal thing. And it's like it's not. Like life is not fair. And it's not really such a thing as equality per se. But we're not talking about like racial inequality. We're more so just talking about the choices that we make and the things that we can control. And I feel like because there is a standard of like luxury, everybody wants a piece of that, but everybody ain't worked for that. Now you guys know. You know, I say this and I really believe this, right? Like everybody is worthy of love, kindness, respect, and care, right? But not everybody deserves a Benz. Not everybody deserves a Benz. Not everybody deserves a G-Wagon. And it's like we kind of get it confused when we start desiring materialism, when we start saying things like eat the rich. And I know that's not the context, so let's not go too far into politics there. But I more so just say like our disdain for people who have, and I want to say have, I mean people who can obtain this modern day luxury, this modern day aesthetic. It's like it's really kind of coming from a space of entitlement, you know? And it's like, I think that's what sucks about social media is like, I feel like you can kind of gain camaraderie around that. And a lot of people have built a lot of audiences around that. And it's just like, you guys, listen, you didn't work for that. You know what I mean? And so it brings me to the question of like, is that even something that you want though? You know, I feel like we're at this place today where, I mean, we kind of come online and we engage and we, you know, we have our communities and all these different things, but we don't really stop and ask ourselves like, is that even something that you want? Because I know me personally, I've got to this point in my life where do I like nice things? Yes. I think everybody likes nice things. You know, we all want comfort. We all want little luxuries. We all want the experience that luxury affords. But at the end of the day, there's only so much of that stuff that really fills me up personally. There's only so much of that stuff that I really want. And I'm also someone who's a little bit more subtle with my money and just how I kind of present myself. Like I've never really been too flashy, you know? So it's just like we have to kind of take a step back and start considering like who you are as a person and just your individuality. Like, is that even something that you really want? You know? And I think for a lot of people, the answer is no, you know, but it's like you just kind of have been fed that this is what you should have. And, you know, it kind of just becomes this addictive cycle because it gains you social capital. You know, people want to be around you. You get, you know what I mean? They may be fake friends, you know, but we all know that, hey, superficiality, it's a common ground for a lot of people, you know? So I just think that we are definitely becoming more and more entitled. I don't think that it's due to Amazon. I don't think it's due to convenience, right? Like I don't think it's due to microwaves. You know what I mean? I think it's due to the fact that everybody feels like they should have more than what they worked for, and it's just not realistic. Like I don't mean to get into people who create content that like really critiques capitalism and things like that. Like I'm never going to shun them, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. It's like it's just kind of weird because it's like people will be critiquing capitalism, but then like you're working to gain capital and be a part of the game, you know? So it's like, again, don't want to go too far into that per se. I don't want to get too much into the politics of like capitalism and how it really is corrupt and, you know, all the different things, right? But I just wanted to kind of shine a light on that because I just think that sometimes our critiques and the things that people like to critique about society just isn't really valid, you know? And I feel like a lot of times it's just coming from a space of entitlement, you know? Like you can't really critique poverty if some of the choices that you have made have led you to poverty. And we're not talking about people who have been in tragedy. We're not like, come on, there's nuance to this, but I'm saying for the people who come online and critique a certain type of thing, a lot of times it comes from a space of entitlement, y'all. And I just be like, okay, I be feeling like the arguments kind of be out of touch, you know? So I think it's just important to really assess like what it is that you want for your life. You know, I do think that after a while, I don't care what anybody says, after a while, like there's only so much stuff you can buy. There's only so much that like will really fill you up and bring you like a level of fulfillment and like, you know what I mean? Like I really think who you hang out with and like your friends and the people that you roll with today, I think that plays a huge role in your overall life satisfaction. And I know that's like so general, and it's like, no, like, obviously. But no, seriously, you guys, like, I really feel like people, like, hanging with people who are superficial, it's like we're never getting out of the rat race, right? Like, it's always about status, it's always about the next big flashy thing, it's always about materialism, and those people are really hard to connect with. And this is why I love my little community, my side of the internet, my little YouTube channel, because it's like I feel like I get to connect with people who like to talk about things. And I'm not saying it's always giving philosophy if we were to hang out and go get lunch. I'm not going to bore you to death with all of the fun facts, but it's like it's just kind of nice to always, it's just nice to be able to show up somewhere and just show up for you and just be yourself, you know what I mean? And just talk about other things, versus like feeling like you have to have the best outfit and go buy this new thing, or feel like, you know what I mean, you can't relate to people because you're not what people would say, like, I don't know. I'll use the example of like the girls, because I feel like everybody knows like the girls is like the hair, the makeup, the glitz and glam. And I'm doing all of that right now, but it's like I'm not someone who's like super, you know what I mean? Like, I just think for me, I don't lean too far into anything. So I think it's also another reason too why I was really big on creating a community for people who are also like that. Like, you don't really lean too far into the superficialities and like materialism and being the girls and, all of that. But you also don't lean too far into like your books either. You know what I mean? But like, you're just like in the middle, and you're someone who, you allow your entire self to exist. And I like people like that. I like being with people where I'm not so self-conscious about what I'm wearing. You know what I mean? I like hanging out with people and I don't feel like I have to be on. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. That's why I married my husband. He's great. You know what I mean? Like, it's like super chill, like, and it's so great to be around people like that, because otherwise it just creates, first of all, too, I think those friendship circles create a lot of competition and envy. And I do think when you hang around people, and like that is the premise, and that is the the core thing of your friendship, it can create envy. And I do think this is kind of why envy reigns so heavily in a lot of people's friend groups, because it's like everybody's trying to get the next thing, and everybody's trying to get, you know what I mean, and it's like, oh, this person got something I don't have. And so it's like now you constantly have that, versus people who are just kind of like, hey, I like hanging out with you because you're cool, like, or I like hanging out with you because we have this in common or this in common. And it's not just we're hanging out because we have the same type of designer, whatever, or you know what I mean? Like, it's stupid, because then it's always this thing of like one up, right? There's always a new product. So I don't know, but I do think that we are entitled. I don't think it's due to Amazon. I don't think it's, you know, I don't think it's always a matter of basic needs, because a lot of people's basic needs are actually met, but it's like you just want more, and and I'm not talking about people who are in deplorable conditions. Okay. I'm not talking about people who are in very, ill conditions. I'm talking about people who genuinely, they genuinely have their basic needs met, but it's like people want more. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting more out of life, but I do think it kind of becomes a thing when we kind of start to critique other people who have, and we start to desire more things that we didn't work for. I think that that's just kind of like life, and we have to kind of put a stop in this, because I don't really know what that kind of sets up. Like, I don't know how that's going to help you in life. Like, I know the internet is here and like we can talk and we can talk about things, but I feel like in life, it's like the work, you get the results from the work you put in. And I do think that this is probably the thing about having, a culture that really shies away from hard work. This is the thing about having a culture where it's like, it's just easy money. It's like internet stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really engage with the real world. So it's like hard work is seen as something that's like it's like a old fashioned thing, like nobody's trying to work hard. People are trying to work smarter, but it's like, when that's your philosophy, then yeah, it's going to set you up for failure. And this is why I was telling, in the last video, I was like, hey, maybe we should kind of stop dreaming, right? And I'm not saying stop dreaming, but I do think, let me just say this, and I'm sorry, you guys, I cannot see these comments because they're all the way in front of me. But I do think that this is what happens, y'all. Like, when you don't kind of step into adulthood and like embrace it and like really start owning your choices. Because I feel like when it comes to adulthood, you just have your choices, and you have the choices that you make. And I think when you become an adult, you start to make plans for the things that you want. You know what I mean? Like, your dreams either become like actionable steps and they become goals, or they just become dreams. And it's like everything is just kind of like for kicks and giggles. But it's like, okay, if that's going to be your attitude towards a thing, then you can't be upset at the outcomes that you're getting. So I just think a lot of that can just be, like a lot of that can just be shut down if we just kind of realize that we're becoming more and more entitled. You know, we feel like this person has something that so we should have it. And we don't know if they're getting it on credit. And me personally, I kind of like the idea of like aspiration. So I don't want to get too much into being like, oh, well, you don't know what's in that person's relationship or what's in that. Of course, you know, we're not going to be gullible per se and we're not going to covet, but I'm also not going to be someone who's going to be so quick to be like, you don't know if she's buying that on credit. Like, cause I just feel like that just kind of gives hater vibes. Not always, but like sometimes, you know. But DH Gate is real. So there are fake things out there. So I feel like, you know, you can't really get too crazy about that because luxury is becoming something that's even more and more obtainable. Like you see people with Hermes bags when it's like those bags for people who had not just generational wealth, but it's like it's giving your dad owns JP Chase Morgan. You know what I mean? Like it was like Hermes was never giving like influencer attain, like it was never giving that, you know? So it's just like a lot has changed. So I feel like when these items become more accessible, it's not even really luxury at that point. It just kind of becomes this thing of like a social marker status symbol. And I guess it's kind of always been that, but no, I think there was definitely something in like luxury and it being something that was exclusive, and now that doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really hold the same weight. So my encouragement for you guys would be to find your values. I don't really think that many of us sit down and be like, okay, what do I actually value? You know, like I actually had to put that on a piece of paper because I had like 15 things. I was looking at this list, I had like 15 things, and then I started looking at my life and my choices and the things that I spend my money on and where I spend most of my time, and I said, okay, I value these things. And when I look at my life today, I still value those same things because that's where my energy goes. That's where my time goes. Let me not say energy. That's where my spirit gravitates. And that's where my time goes. So it's just like that's where my money goes. So those are the things that I value. And when you act in alignment with that, not only do you feel more authentic, so when people come at you with the fake, whatever we do today, when we size each other up over, you know, have and have nots, you really just don't care because it's like there's just something inside of you that is so secure and you know that you're acting in alignment with your values. And then you don't really have buyer's remorse either because it's like you're not buying things for people that don't care about you. You know, so you just kind of grow out of that phase. So I don't think I concluded my piece about the dreaming. I think I did. I said, you know, get a plan. But yeah, you guys, I just think that if you never make a plan for your life, if you never put in the work, you're going to be someone who's entitled, you know, because you're just going to easily fall into that space. And it's easy to create audiences based on that because a lot of people do need that reality check. So I think that's all I got. I hope I can see the live like comments once I cut this live off because the camera's far away and I didn't get to read them. And so I will work on doing that better next time. I was honestly so conscious about this mic shutting off because I'm like, oh my God, I haven't charged it. So this was crazy. I ran out of storage. It was a mess. But I hope you guys are having a great day. Again, thank you so much for subbing. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I feel like I'm getting better with the lives. Okay, next time we will be engaging in the commentary. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. Don't be entitled. Be grateful for what it is that you have. And if you want more, work for more.